Been an exciting week in Bruins land. Had 3 games. The only one that I really want to talk about is the last one, because anytime a team comes back from 2 goals down in the final minute of the 3rd period, I get Boston University sweats.
It warms your cold.
Kind of like meat sweats when you eat too much, burger in a sitting.
That was an NCAA final that mirrored early season NHL action, because what happens is that you play at this frenzied pace where you get emotionally separate. On one hand, coaches want to see players put their emotion in the game. On the other hand, they want to see you get emotionally separated from the ebb and flow and not let your performance sink down by anything that happens. Just keep on going, keep on swinging, put your head down, and keep the fist pumping, because if he ever drops a hand, you're going to hit him and you might win. And that's how you play now. In the early stages of any NHL season, the energy level is so high. And everybody's looking for that 4 lines of pressure approach, and the Bruins, took advantage of a situation, that by just not stopping, they never let the air go out, and that's how you have to play. And I think that right now they've found the energy source for that in the adversity that comes with not having Mark Savard and Milan Lucic in the lineup.
Is this the kind of thing that can really steal that roster, to not have, I don't want to say your best players, but clearly 2 of your best players in the early season, where, if things don't go as well, you've got time to steady the ship? I know we talked last week about Pittsburgh, which was out of the playoffs as late as January. Is this a good thing for them long term, to maybe let some other guys step up a little bit without the bigger stars there?
I wouldn't normally say that in every case, but in this case, yes, because the Bruins came into the season having set the bar so high for themselves that so much was expected of different guys to do different things for them. Everything was so prearranged and prescribed that when it didn't happen and things were out of sync, then it was so easy for everybody to be a little down and everybody to be negatively affected. Now the expectations for this team are different. They're altered, and the chemistry has changed, the drink has been stirred, and now players can actually come to the rink and think cup half full. And that was impossible until these injuries.
One thing I like about, not necessarily that I like that Mark Savard has been hurt, but in the wake of the injuries, Patrice Bergeron so quickly and immediately rose to the challenge and has been far and away their best player on the ice. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, pretty much.
In the last 3 games especially. Starting with the Nashville game, where he had I call it the Bork aura, where you can kind of see it when a player, because like when Bork was doing his thing in 1992, say, you could just see that he was playing this flawless game, and he's a defenseman and Bergeron's a center, but Bergeron was just, everything he was doing was perfect. He was in total control. He didn't seem flustered. It didn't seem he was over antsy. He was just moving the puck and setting up. He set up his own goal, in essence, when he was, and there was a play in the corner, I think it was in the 3rd period. He dekes out 2 guys, he kicks it back out to the point, Chara has a slap shot, and then he puts in the rebound.
He sneaks it inside the left post there. I mean, right-handed shot, and he was on his knees when he did it.
Right.
It was like he never stopped working. He was near the end of his shift, and it was a good comeback for him too, because earlier in the game he had been knocked off the puck, and the play went the other way, and they got scored on.
Yeah.
So it was, but through the years, you always hope to have a couple of guys on your team who can sort of just control a game. Kind of like the way Messier used to impose himself on a game. He'd stick out his chest and it'd say, "Here I come. There's nothing you can do about it. And every time I go back and get this puck, I'm coming back and I'm going to wear you down and wear you down and wear you down." Bergeron, in a much more subtle way, has this kind of quality, and the Bruins first got to see it in the NHL during the disastrous 05-06 season post Joe Thornton, when Mike Sullivan moved him from right wing to center, and Bergeron took on a starring role with the team, and you had the formation of the boys with Sturmline, with Bergeron, and that's when you really got to see Bergeron be able to really flourish the way he had in the lockout year with Providence. He did in the NHL, and it's funny how Richards has come along and is much more famous. But the 2 of those players very similarly advanced in their careers. Bergeron's career unfortunately interrupted with the injury, but Richards has sort of become the new Bobby Clark in Philadelphia. And yeah, I mean, it's a Freudian slip.
Mike Richards, not Brad.
Correct.
Okay.
Philadelphia's Micro, who, by the way, has been the subject of controversy this week for a very dastardly quarter angle back hit.
Was that a legal hit? Because I've heard people say
marginal.
I've heard people say both things.
Yeah.
And obviously, Philadelphia has its reputation, well earned, as being that kind of team. But you're saying it's a marginal hit.
It's a marginal hit, but it was a predatory hit, and I do think there's a place in hockey for predatory hits. I do think that when there are times where you just want to send a message where you should be able to go and say, let's hit this guy when he's coming in the zone with the puck. Somebody get him, and let's see if we can put a little fear of God in this guy. And I think that in this case though, he was blindsided. Puck was on the opposite side. The play was on the opposite side. And just as he turned, Richards was not even with him. It wasn't like he could have seen him coming. He came in from behind, but even though he wasn't directly behind, he came in from behind, caught up to him, and hit him on the side. He hit him on the side, but he came in from behind and accelerated to meet him. And he wound up getting David Booth, that is, Florida winger, who's been pretty productive for them, young player. He got nailed, just crushed. And you look at that and you say, geez, that reminds me a lot of the hit that Drury took a few years ago when he was still with the Buffalo Sabres.
Yes.
Remember the one? Was it Chris Neal? Ottawa? I can't remember.
It was, yeah.
It was a very similar hit.
I'm pretty sure it was Ottawa.
Two guys coming together, but one guy definitely didn't see the other one coming because he's in a weaving kind of a situation. Now, the NHL, this is the one that's going to get the NHL talking in the war room there about what to do. Should we put in a new rule? Should we give a new interpretation to an old one? What should we do about this? Because there is something about that hit that does not sit well because it's a blind side hit and it's it's not the kind of hit that seems like fair game.
Yeah.
Even though it's hard to come up with the definition of why it's wrong.
You can kind of tell that David Krejci's not fully back yet he did kind of rush back to get back for the start of the season, but I just see him play and it makes me want to see him at 100% more because what he's been able to do with what's clearly not all his physical tools yet, there's just so much there. And that as the years go on, it's going to develop. This is a guy that they've decided to build the future around a little bit, and we're going to be watching him play here for seasons to come. And there's so many things that your mind almost jumps ahead of itself because of how many good players there's been here. You almost see him developing in your head ahead of time.
Yeah, terrific talent.
And he's doing this without, like you said, without the benefit of a preseason. Is basically
and without Chris Versteeg.
Yeah, he's
his line mate in Providence.
He's 10 games in now, right? The season's 10 games in. He's played all 10. That's about a preseason.
It's tough. It's tough. It's hard to say what's going to happen. It's the ebb and flow of how Krejci's going to come along.
Yeah.
Terrific kid. He's just one of those guys you love watching play hockey because he got kind of a retro game. He does things that players generally don't do anymore. He's not the fastest skater. He shoots love muffin, shots, I mean, he doesn't, but he makes magic out there. He's just a terrific terrific mind.
Can I ask, for the benefit of the listeners, what is a love muffin shot?
That's like Anson Carter, shoot the puck really softly. It's kind of like you felt like if you were a goalie, you could catch it with your bare hand and not be hurt.
Okay.
It's kind of, that's a love muffin. We used to have this, you remember the old orange puck, you'd see it shooting around the driveway.
Yes, I took a couple in the eye over the years.
Well,
I used to put them in the freezer to make them even harder.
Well,
my cousin and I.
You're supposed to put the real pucks in the freezer to do that, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But they actually had right before that, they had one that looked just like a real puck, but it was soft foam rubber, but it was like a dense foam rubber, so that somebody just rip off this wrist shot at you and hit you in the shin with it in the driveway, and the horror of it, you would be like screaming out at the person, jumping out of the way, and they'd be laughing because the thing hits you and it bounces off, and it might sting a tiny bit, and that's it. That's kind of funny. One little note here before we go on hockey. Season ticket holder, friend of mine, who's had Bruins season tickets since 1968, could not get access to the top price for the Winter Classic.
Really?
And and it should be based on seniority. I think Sunday was his day for access, and it should be fairly early in the chain. I don't know how many season ticket holders the Bruins have that go back before 1968.
And who've been constant season ticket holders.
Oh yeah, he's had 2 full package, no interruption, and yet, I mean, if they let him in the building, he probably would have gone during the lockout year. And yet he could not get tickets. Now he